Welcome to the ultimate 2026 World Cup explainer. I'm your resident data guy, ready to break down the heat maps, the expected goals, and the undeniable mathematical truths of the beautiful game. And I'm right here to tell you that math alone doesn't win you a World Cup. When that stadium is literally shaking and a billion people are watching worldwide, those algorithms go completely out the window. It's all about momentum, team chemistry, and pure, unadulterated passion. So it's the ultimate clash of philosophies, right? We're pitting the spreadsheet against the soul of the sport. It's the absolute greatest debate heading into the 2026 tournament. Let's just get right into it.
The big pressing question for 2026 is actually pretty simple. Is this the most unpredictable World Cup we have ever seen? Because honestly, my predictive models are practically melting down right now, just trying to account for the sheer variance we're about to see. Good. Honestly, let them melt down. That unpredictability is the absolute magic of the tournament. You simply cannot mathematically map out sheer vibes, man. The stakes are wider, the drama is higher, and the script, it's meant to be completely torn up. Which brings us to Section 1, the 48-team format chaos.
48. Just let that number sink in for a second. 48 teams. It's an astronomical leap. I mean, we're jumping from 32 teams straight to 48. We are talking 12 groups of 4. Top 2 go through, plus the 8 best third-place teams. Statistically speaking, this massive expansion completely rewrites tournament probability. You're adding this entirely new layer of fatigue metrics, squad rotation variables, and mathematical variance. The permutations are absolutely endless.
And you are completely missing the best part. This throws an absolute grenade into traditional locker room dynamics. More teams means more styles of play, way more unknown quantities colliding, and just a massive, expanded scale of pure tournament energy. Just think of the fan bases, the color, the noise, 104 matches of pure footballing theater.
But look, the statistical argument here is crystal clear. 48 teams is simply too chaotic. The data strongly suggests this dilutes the elite talent pool. We're looking at a much higher probability of group stage blowouts, top seeds will have to navigate a longer, far more grinding path, and the fatigue tracking is going to go completely off the charts. Tactical systems will literally break down under the physical load.
Okay, stop right there. That is such a cynical way to look at it. This format finally gives smaller nations a fair chance. This is all about the sheer magic of a debut nation finally getting their moment on the global stage. Do you know what kind of momentum a smaller country brings when their entire population is behind them for the very first time? You can't code that national pride into an algorithm. That heart and adrenaline overrides your blowout metrics every single time.
All right, moving on to Section 2, top contenders. Who actually has the edge?
So let's look at the favorites. The numbers point overwhelmingly to France. Their current form is incredibly dominant, and they consistently generate the highest expected goals, or XG, in the entire world. Their sprint speeds, their midfield possession retention, they're basically a tactical machine.
Sure, France is a machine, but you're skipping right over Brazil. You see inconsistent in your little data sheets, but I see elite talent and a completely magical chemistry. When they turn it on, literally no one can stop the Jogo Bonito. It's fluid, it's intuitive, it's art.
But analytically speaking, you really can't ignore Argentina. My models show their defensive shape is statistically peaking at the exact right time.
It is not about their defensive shape on paper. Their real weapon is that undeniable brotherhood. That locker room vibe forged in their 2022 victory gave them this aura that just hasn't faded. They play for the badge, and they play like a family. You don't beat a family with a spreadsheet.
See, this right here is the ultimate face-off of footballing philosophies. France's statistical dominance is undeniable. They're practically built in a laboratory to win modern tournaments, using exceptionally deep squads to mathematically outcompete and outrun opponents over 90 minutes. It's totally systematic.
And I will take Argentina and Brazil's undeniable chemistry every single day of the week. You simply cannot quantify the psychological advantage a team has when they play with absolute joy, or when they're willing to run through brick walls for each other. Does the eye test of a cohesive, passionate unit override a mathematically perfect system? Tournament history says yes, for sure.
Which naturally leads us to ask if these heavyweights, these absolute giants of the sport, just end up canceling each other out tactically.
Can an underdog actually step up and win the whole thing in 2026?
Let's dive into Section 3, dark horses and massive global upsets.
Let's talk about the data behind the global upsets brewing in Africa and Asia. The rise of Morocco, for instance, is heavily backed by the numbers. They boast incredibly low expected goals against them. Hakimi's overlapping runs create statistically proven overloads. They are defensively elite and so structurally disciplined. And then there's the tactical brilliance of Japan. Their pressing metrics are off the charts, systematically disrupting the passing networks of traditional powerhouses.
You're doing it again. You're stripping the soul right out of it. Morocco isn't just structurally disciplined. It is the Atlas Lions roaring. They play with the weight of an entire continent on their shoulders, and that gives them wings. And Japan, it isn't about pressing metrics. It's about absolute fearlessness, the element of surprise. They simply do not care if you have a historic star on your chest. They step onto that pitch believing they belong there, and that unshakable belief makes them lethal.
Honestly, I have to ask you, have you ever seen a spreadsheet actually score a goal?
Well, theoretically, the underlying performance metrics dictate.
No, it's a real question. You can track every passing lane. You can calculate every single sprint speed. But when a Moroccan defender throws his body in front of a bullet of a shot in the 89th minute to preserve a historic upset, that is pure, unquantifiable human spirit. Your data doesn't bleed, and it sure doesn't cry tears of joy when the final whistle blows.
All right. Let's move to Section 4, the Golden Boot Race.
Let's zoom in on individual glory and look at the predictive models for the top goal scorer. My probability models heavily favor the system-driven forward. This is the striker who benefits from a team engineered to deliver them the ball in high-probability scoring zones 20 times a game. It's basically a mathematical inevitability. Then you have the intuitive poacher, who might rely on maybe 2 touches a game. And finally, the surprise breakout. With 48 teams, the math actually dictates we're highly likely to see an unknown player score a hat trick against a weaker opponent in the group stages, which will completely skew the data.
Oh, you just love it when the data gets skewed. But let's be real here. The Golden Boot isn't won by a robotic system. It's won by the intuitive poacher, the player with that killer, totally unteachable instinct to find the back of the net when the pressure is suffocating.
We just fundamentally disagree here. Expected goals is the single most reliable metric we have in the modern game. The Golden Boot is going to go to the player whose team consistently feeds them the highest quality chances over the course of the tournament, period.
And I'm telling you, it comes down to pure striker's instinct. My gut feeling says the Golden Boot goes to the player who creates absolute magic out of nothing, right when the lights are the brightest and the tactical system has completely broken down.
Okay, fair enough. I will concede this one point. Winning the World Cup requires both the cold reality of data and the undeniable magic of team spirit. You just can't run on vibes for 7 or 8 grueling games. Eventually, a tactically superior, data-driven team will expose your flaws and exploit your fatigue. And I'll admit that you can't rely entirely on a cold system, because when you're down 1-0 in the knockout stages and the clock is just ticking away, it is raw belief, leadership, and heart that forces the equalizer. The ultimate champion of this new 48-team era is going to be the nation that perfectly marries the brain and the heart.
So as you start filling out your brackets, analyzing the contenders, and waiting for those dark horses to emerge, will you trust the stats or your gut in 2026? It's the ultimate footballing question. And that's a wrap for our World Cup Explainer. Keep analyzing those metrics.
And keep feeling the game.
And we'll catch you on the next one.